of cover on everything they could have tell us. So yesterday, was it yesterday? Yesterday evening, we wrap up the motorcade to start the public meeting. And the police told us that our permit goes until 7 o'clock. We said, no, we actually have 2 permits. We have a permit to have the motorcade, and we have a permit to have a public meeting. Police officer said to us that I think she used the term inspector, but I could be wrong, so I don't want to say for sure. But she getting a call from a higher up that said they know nothing about the second permit, and that our event, our motorcade, supposed to end at 7, so end it at 7. In front of the police, I dispatched Felicia, Holder, and Esther with the paper to Penal Police Station. As they drive out the yard, not a minute and a half past, the same police officer came and said, the inspector find the paper. They forget that they had approved it. So it approved. Don't worry. You could go ahead till 9. Our permit was till 10. We stopped at 9. So I had to call back Felicia. They ain't pass a block. They find the paper. No problem at all. They find it. Up to last night, we was fighting those things. And I had to tell the officer, I had to tell her, I said, in this country, taxpayers pay police, and the democracy is not contingent. That's not police job. Our democracy, our campaigning must never be at the mercy of people who could grant and withhold permission. You see, this is the insanity of where we are as a nation. But we got to hear. We have 26 polling stations. No, 13 polling stations. 7 locations. 13, some of them double. 6 of them double. And 1 of them single. So we need 2 shifts of 13 polling agents whose job it is 2 shifts, 6 to 6, 2 shifts, whose job it is to sit down in the polling station and make a note of every person who comes through the place. So if 275 people come through the polling station, when the election over, and they open the box and they count, they can't have 274, and they can't have 276. They have 275. And they have to go through each of those votes and who they're for. And our polling station agent will make a note of who every vote is for and forward that back to us. Their job tomorrow, UNC again, I want to hear me, is every single person who goes to vote without a polling card, but whose name is on the list at an address they do not live at. If they are allowed to vote, we are going to lodge a complaint with the police on the suspicious ones to investigate if they are actual residents of Debe South. We have need for 26 polling agents. We have 52. We need 3 cars to move them around. We have 6. We over-engineered. The party split into 2 headquarters. The chairman, the campaign manager, and her assistant, Precious, executive assistant, in South. Me, Satish, and our executive assistant in the North. 2 sets of lawyers on standby. A lot of effort. A lot of effort. And I want to tell you, I walked till my foot in pain. But I want to tell you, we will be able to say, Trinidad will never, ever be able to say that they didn't have choice. In this campaign, the Progressive Empowerment Party did a better campaign than the PNM and the UNC. The PNM do one motorcade, no walkabout for the whole campaign. And in the motorcade, they put this candidate girl sitting down on an armchair on the back of a pickup. And a bunch of paid drivers and people in red. A bunch of make it look like she have support people. Paid for with whoever's investing their politics. The UNC's campaign was to come with some wire ties and some UNC flags and stick them on street signs as if to whistle the voters. All your work is to vote for the same lack of representation that have your community drowning in floodwater, that have you. Now I know the PNM, and this is what the UNC benefits from a lot. The PNM has treated the people of the country areas of Trinidad. The PNM, from Eric Williams and the recalcitrant minority bullshit, come right back. The PNM has treated the grandchildren of India with really scant courtesy and total disrespect. And over the course of the 59 years of that experience, those people learn to be self-sufficient. So they're not expecting much from government. Those communities don't get what the PNM communities get, mostly because the people who live in those communities don't think they're entitled to it. The Progressive Empowerment Party want to show you what you're entitled to. The Progressive Empowerment Party want to level the playing field. The Progressive Empowerment Party want to undo all the bullshit laws and unclog all the jams that make it possible for the PNM cult to treat people like that, like that in this country. I'm real tired, so excuse me if I make any mistakes and bite my own tongue. But the UNC, taking advantage of the people's self-sufficiency and lack of complaining, is take plenty for those communities to burn tires and block roads. It's take plenty. Marabella, Batu Avenue, Marabella, going on about 3 months now, that they have the same problem Beatham have with the sewage. They have it with a backed up river that going nowhere. But they messaging me. Claxton Bay, Gasparillo, they have places that haven't had water for months. When they turn off the food cards and they turn off the assist, it starts. It'll start. You know, I just realized people don't know. I mean, the WhatsApp crew don't know I'm live. And they're gonna be highly upset when they realize that I was live and I didn't tell them. So if you don't mind, let me tell them. Yeah? That I'm live. I'm trying to find what's going on right now. this. Debe South people entitled to a lot more than they have gotten over the years. A lot more. And if they give us a chance, the Progressive Empowerment Party will show them things that they didn't even know that they were entitled to, that they'll get. So much more than any representation they ever had. It's my second live video for the night. First live video was the candlelight movement because Andrea's anniversary overlapped this campaign. Debe South have the opportunity to put the contract mafia in their place, to put the contract mafia owned media in their place. Debe South have an opportunity similar to Tobago's to vote itself out of bondage, because it's in bondage. Make no mistake, it's in total bondage. Munilal is talk a good shit. I like to listen to him. He's talk a good shit. Dave Tanku is an ass. Dave Tanku is an ass that not worth a saddle. And he only have a seat because he put himself in a UNC safe seat. But he is an ass that ain't worth a saddle. Rudal is talk a good piece of shit. So it's fun to listen to him. And he's the last of the, how to say this? He's the last of the high-end jokesters. Pandey was a high-end jokester. Manning was a high-end jokester. People who, when they get on their feet in the parliament, they expect them to say, but Mr. Speaker, I ain't calling no name tonight, right? But I know a man who borrowed a shoe from another man, never gave back the shoe, and he owing him for shoe. The kind of bullshit, Basamak, make you laugh, tongue in cheek. Hundreds of millions of taxpayers' dollars gone. Laws that eviscerated your freedom happening. Munila talking good shit in the parliament. And that's what we down to. That's what representation in this country down to. I want to show you the kind of representation we want to give. I want you to hear.
Our political leader and our spiritual leaders. Pleasant good night, everyone. Our political leader and our spiritual. Good night. My campaign manager, our campaign manager, our chairman. Good night to everyone. And a special good night to the PP family. My name is Lorenzo Sami, and I am the candidate for Debe South representing the PEP. I intend to be your next councillor for Debe South. And as your councillor, there are things I intend to do and things I don't intend to do. What I don't intend to do is to call you brother and sister, and when hard times hit, I am nowhere around. What I don't intend to do is wait for a TV camera to push in my face and then act like I share the anguish of the people who have now lost their possessions due to flooding. What I don't intend to do is flood the streets with banners and flyers and flags on every corner, and when you look at the roads, it's littered with potholes. That is what I don't intend to do. But what I do intend to do, my people of Debe South, is to offer my most heartfelt dedication, my time and my effort to the district of Debe South and make it the best that it could be. I am of the view that the most important element of government is not the ministers, not the councillors, not the aldermen, but the people they govern, the friendly villagers, the small business owners, and even the humble vendors, side vendors like myself. As a son of the soil growing up in this district, it has given me the first-hand insight into the lives of the residents and what we go through on a daily basis in Debe South. Coming from a humble beginning as a fruit seller and interacting with people from all walks of life throughout Trinidad and Tobago, it has also enlightened me to show me how our beloved country and the hometown in which I live in Debe South have the potential to be under proper leadership. I know that the voices of the people fuel our actions. So essentially what you want for your community is what I want for our community. Together it is our responsibility and my dream to make Debe South the best constituency in the entire country. My experiences along with my university training where I study a double major in geography, environmental science and natural resource management will work hand in hand in making this dream a reality. On February 7th, you the people of Debe South have the opportunity and the choice to make. Is either I put someone who will continue to enrich their friends and family while Debe South continues to remain stagnant, or you vote for the Progressive Empowerment Party and me, Lorenzo Sami, for a brighter future of Debe South. In closing, I would like to give a special thanks to our political leader, the entire PEP staff for their efforts in making this possible, my family and close friends who stood by me every day through this campaign. You guys, this would have not been possible to do without you guys being here every day. And come Monday, we will be making history in Trinidad and Tobago and painting Debe orange. Thank you guys. Have a blessed night. Before we ever on the road, the girl them a release the road. So let me see your hands up so. Everybody know put your hands up so. If you're ready for the road, now your friend them know. We're ready for the road.
Debe South is in your hands. Everything that we could have done, we've done. Everything that I've done to show and to raise issues as to why our parliament fails, our cabinet fails, our government fails, I've put more information in the public space than any other politician. I've put more ideas, more policy, more problem-solving initiatives in the public space than any other politician. I have spoken to the people of Trinidad and Tobago more than all of the other politicians and their entire career in politics combined. My voice is the voice of reason and hope in this country. And I've been told that repeatedly. And every time I hear that, I have to sit down and work out, what do I do with this? Do I deserve this? How could I make this? How could I translate this to a better life for all the people? I meet the most unexpected people who tell me they don't miss this live video ever. The most unexpected people. People that I would never think would follow me religiously. And they follow because they don't want it sugar-coated. They want the truth of why there is no foreign exchange. They want the truth as to what happened to our pitch lake. They want the truth as to what happens to the money that the taxpayers pay. They understand now that the well-being of the citizens is the function, purpose, and reason for government. They understand that. And it is what kicked the PNM out of Tobago. They understand that their vote, their labor, and their consumption are the three poles that hold up the country. I want to tell you, there's a fourth pole. There's a fourth pole, but that pole is outside of your control because they've written laws to lock it down. And that's your taxes. We can't talk about your taxes because you can't withhold your taxes. The most you could do is unemploy yourself or shut down your business so you don't have to pay taxes. I mean, but that's a whole other conversation. All the power that you need is your labor, and I had to point that out because somebody messaged me and told me that, and yes, you're correct. But it's not within the purview of the average person, but their labor and their consumption, those are. Because they could determine tomorrow, and I'm telling you this, KFC depend on poor people on both sides of that counter. Make no mistake. Nobody named Mute frying chicken. Nobody named Mute cashing in a KFC. And nobody named Mute or Sabga shopping in there. That's the way they just come for their food. And on both sides of the counter in KFC, in Subway, in Royal Castle, in Church's Chicken, on both sides of the counter, it is the poor people of Trinidad and Tobago that keep those businesses alive. It is poor people in Carib Brewery that make Carib Beer. They're not the shirt and tie workers inside the office drawing the big salaries. It is the average, hustling, daily paid, monthly paid, lowly paid worker making Carib Beer, and it is them buying Carib Beer. And the point I want to make to you is this entire economy that is Trinidad and Tobago, when you see the banks in their silky underwear telling you that they make $1 billion this year, it means they've taken $1 billion out of the economy from you. It is your fees in those banks. And I'm hearing Mia Motley using my words, and I applaud her for that. Trinidad could have led that race, because I've been saying this for a decade, that the banks in Trinidad and Tobago have broken the financial contract, the financial services contract. And I don't know if they've written a new law or if they've given them a new contract. But I want to tell you, nowhere in the world do banks give you 0 interest on your money and charge you fees to house your money, and the government write a law that your money have to be in the bank. That is insanity. That is herding you as sheep to the slaughter. You must work and give the bank a piece of your money. Your salary must go through the bank. The bank must break off a piece as fees. And it's not right. And it's not fair. And it's unjust. And neither the PNM nor the UNC will do anything about it because they're in bed with the banks. And the banks in Trinidad and Tobago, the contract to operate a bank is a simple one. Because banks bring no money to the table. So the contract to operate a bank is a simple one. You pay, you take depositors' funds, and you pay them interest on those funds. You take those funds and you lend it out for higher interest. And you make your money from that and other services you provide. You don't charge people for statement, and you don't charge people a rent for the account, which is a line item on a spreadsheet. All of that is insanity. It's abuse. The banks are getting away with abuse. And I applaud Mia Motley. And I've told the people of Trinidad and Tobago, the price of food don't have to be this high in Trinidad, and the price of houses. If you take the drug money and the contract mafia money out of housing, the prices of houses in Trinidad and Tobago is about 20 times what it should be. Yeah. And if you open the market to competition, because one group of companies in Trinidad has control of the majority of construction material for a house, and how rock hard was importing cement all the way from Turkey and underselling TCL. But they don't care. They leave Trinidad because in Guyana, they can't bring cement fast enough. And they outselling TCL there. So the only place TCL could make a money is in Trinidad, plundering the people. Like flour mills. Like what flour mills doing? Flour mills don't have to make sense. Flour mills just have to make money. When you put shittongs and charlatans to run these companies, and then you give them a monopoly, the people of the country suffer. You will never hear the PNM and the UNC talk to you about that. The cost of food in this country is what it is because the Ministry of Finance does not grow food. The mandate, not finance, the mandate for the Ministry of Agriculture is to not grow food. In fact, the mandate for the Ministry of Agriculture is to work together with other ministries to destroy food where food is growing. Nowhere else in the world. In the last couple months, we've destroyed food-bearing crops for squatting on land that the state has no intention of using. No. You don't want them to squat? Regularize them. You don't want them to squat? Bring a farmer from the Ministry of Agriculture to say, all right, this need 2 months and that need 3 months to harvest. You have till April. Don't plant again because you'll lose that crop. And you could do that. And we could facilitate you on other farmlands because they took out farmers from Shagaramas and give it to 1% people to throw party on, place that used to grow food. And his poor suffering grandchildren of Africa was farming in Shagaramas. And the PNM promised to take care of them and didn't. The PNM cut their throat. It's too easy to tell TSTT workers to have the media publish a headline that is fake and fraudulent. TSTT millionaires. That is bullshit. That company deserves to be sold in whole to the people of Trinidad and Tobago who should own it, and the workers should be given a percentage stock options to own it. Why are we selling it? That is a money spinner. TSTT, WASA, TNTech, the port, those are money spinners. You don't sell those things. Those are the last of the money spinners. Singapore moves more goods, more containers. Hear me, I want them to challenge me. I want Gregory Aboud from Doma to challenge this. Singapore moves more containers in a minute than Trinidad moves in a year. And Singapore is 1/3 the size of Trinidad. Singapore is in a massive place. Singapore is about the size of Tobago. A little bigger than Tobago. And they move more container traffic on their port in a minute than we move in a year. It is what generates their money. Dubai as well. And these countries understand the power of shipping. When you say that a country or the port in a country moves 20,000 times more container traffic than you do, and you understand that for a container ship to just come into your port, they have to pay money. Just to come in, they have to pay money. And to offload, and to transship, all that is money. Big money. To be a shipping hub is massive money. Amazon dies without the shipping hubs. Yeah, they could send some drones and drop a couple things, but they can't receive delivery with drones. We're far from that. You need the shipping hubs. It is why Panama just spent $1 billion US doubling the size of the Panama Canal. They doubled the width and the depth of the Panama Canal in anticipation of bigger ships coming. I'm real tired. So if I'm looking tired, I'm tired. Don't tell me I'm looking tired because I know I'm tired, I'm exhausted. But Trinidad's port loses money. $1 billion a year. Trinidad's port loses $1 billion a year because it's a theftocracy. Now, they have some poor fries on the bottom that get a couple extra, like in everything. You use high position people that look like the people that you're trying to oppress, and you bless them. Their job is to keep the rest down. That's their job, to keep the rest down. And you know what I have found? I have found that even those people are fed up of Trinidad and Tobago and how it's run, and that they know that they could do better and they could be making more. Even the people who are part of the corruption at the lowest level, and they know and they tell you. They say, I know, Phillip, but if not me, you move me today, somebody else coming tomorrow. You know, when I went and did a video opposite Super Farm and KFC on Sierra Leone Road in Diego Martin, and exposed that the water reaches there, but not to the people of Diego Martin. But the water trucks could come there and full and go and sell the people of Diego Martin. You know, the water trucks contractors got vexed that I said that. But I'm not trying to take food out of their mouth. They serve a purpose, but it shouldn't be at the expense of the day-to-day living of people who pay in Wasa bill anyway. It's too much. And it is too much to the point where you need real political warriors representing you. Listen, they will tell you it could get worse. Show me how. They will tell you, boy, you know what you have, you know what you will get. They have nothing worse you could get. It's like you go to the doctor and he tell you, you have cancer and you have heart disease, but it could get worse. How? Or it's like when they tell you, you take the vaccine and you're dead, but it could be worse. How? You're a deader? How could it be worse? So when they try that shit with you, how could a country where nowhere is good? Nowhere. Nowhere is good. Nowhere is nice. Nowhere is safe. And I fixed my battery. And again, it's not charging. Excuse me a minute. I just have to make sure, because I don't even know how much time passed. But nowhere in Trinidad and Tobago is a happy place. Nowhere in Trinidad and Tobago feels like the people have hope or opportunity. When you go down in communities like Debe South, you see places that Trinidad's government have forgotten. I drive through Debe South enough to have seen where hundreds of millions of dollars of infrastructure built for the Point 14 highway is left to rot. Bridges, things that would make the lives of the people. When you coming to the end of that highway, the North-South highway, they don't even have the decency to put up proper signage that the road is about to end and that you need to stop or you'll crash. When you go down there, you see, when you go down there, you see all the New Jersey barricades damaged and car parts littering because you are driving down a full four-lane highway that ends. It just ends at a roundabout without enough signage 500 meters, 2 kilometers before You should be getting massive blue reflective signs, like the ones that say Price Mart ahead and Massey stores ahead. Those. You should have those massive signs saying highway ends, slow down. They have some handmade signs. And so people who don't know where they're going lose. And you slam into those barricades and you damage your car. Insurance ain't paying you. I mean, it's just so many things. It's so many things wrong with this country. And given the opportunity in Debe South, I mean, if they vote our candidate, and you heard him speak, and that's the level of PEP representation. They have nobody in the UNC, 21 years old, could compete. None. But when you vote for Lorenzo Sammy in Debe South, you vote for what I am capable of accomplishing. And you have seen me never fail to deliver to people who reach out to me for help. Never fail. And we want. Last night, Akil Camps went up on stage and told Debe South, give Lorenzo Sammy the job so that the rest of us could come and work for you for free. It is Akil Camps and Alberta Purdine who identified the missing length of sewage pipe that was dumping raw sewage in Curep into the river. And it is Akil and Alberta that the then minister had to thank and went down and got it fixed. That's PEP people. We want to go down there when we're done and local government election come around. The people of Debe South must come out the house and close the road to any political party who has ever been there before, who has let them down before. You see, politics is not just about race. Politics is not because you is African and I is African, I voting for you, or you is Indian and I is Indian, I voting for you. Because if that ever worked, then the African communities in Trinidad and Tobago and the Indian communities in Trinidad and Tobago would be in a constant competition to see which one better. But what it is a competition to see which one worse. If race voting, if die-hard voting was going to help anybody, do you think Nelson Street in East Port of Spain could have looked like that? If race voting was helping anybody, you think the people of Debe South would have had the drainage and flooding problems, the perennial. There are people who have abandoned properties. After the third and fourth flood, they just get fed up and they're gone. And they take their family and fly out. There are about 1 million Trinidadians outside of Trinidad who would like to come home to Trinidad, who have lived in first world countries and know what is first world standard. They know what a developed country looks like. Now, Singapore is a little bigger than Tobago. And Singapore is a first world developed nation with an economy so strong that it eclipsed the mighty United States of America's economy as being the most competitive in the world for 2 and 3 years in a row. So if little Singapore could do that, Singapore has created trees, artificial trees. In Singapore, in their most congested cities, they've passed green space laws. You can't build or renovate without 50% green space. Go and check what Colm built on Picton Street and see if Colm would have been allowed to build that in Singapore. 50% green space law, but they didn't stop there. they invented and manufactured these artificial trees. And these trees, their jobs are to capture carbon in the environment and trap it. And if that wasn't enough, because you know, and you all know, that plenty of the people who died from cancer and other sicknesses in and around the Curep area, you know that Curep had a reputation of being the most polluted intersection for lead and carcinogens in the entire world. That's another thing that we were the best at. Number one at, the most polluted. In fact, Trinidad is listed as being the number one polluter of plastics per capita than any country in the world. We have no real environmental laws. None. But as if it wasn't enough for these people to create these trees that were actually machines to harvest and trap carbon, take it out of the atmosphere, they also generate free Wi-Fi to the cities. Free Wi-Fi. Because in the modern world, internet access is as important almost as food and water and shelter. Because if you can't compete on the internet globally, you're in trouble. You're in serious financial trouble. And if your people are ignorant of the internet and social media and all the other things that they get access to via information technology, you will get left so far behind so fast in a world racing towards driverless cars and driverless trucks, in a world trying to right itself. That's what the environmental conference in Scotland was supposed to be about. But Trinidad and Tobago hates its people. Trinidad and Tobago hates its people. When you see your cyclists ride past, now I'm using the cyclists because most of the cyclists that I see in these fancy outfits are well-to-do people, and they don't understand that every time they ride past, anytime you drive past the beatum with an open truck, open van, open car, or anytime you ride past, and when you're riding, you understand this, eh? When you're riding or running, you are not operating your lungs at normal capacity. You're operating your lungs at increased capacity. Your lungs has multiples of capacities that it could operate at depending on the requirements at the time. But to be working as hard as you're working, to be riding a bicycle and pumping that, your heart is beating faster and your lungs are pulling in more air. When you are riding past the beatum, you are sucking in a massive carcinogen shot. And that's why you must never have your windows down. Turn off your air condition when you are approaching the beatum. When you get stuck in traffic by the beatum, the government is sponsoring you a cancer shot. That's what it is. Cancer. And don't take my word for it. Go to the beatum 1 mile. You don't want to go inside the beatum. 1 mile from the beatum. Do 3 things in any direction. A water quality test, a soil quality test, and an air quality test. It's not enough to just agree with what I'm saying. I want you to understand that there are people in this country who have died from pancreatic cancer. People like John Sabga, Johnny Gonzalez, who Natalie Sabga is running a Purple Foundation, daughter of Peter George Sr. Natalie Sabga is running a Purple Foundation, and she is all over the place promoting purple awareness. And I want Natalie to know that Trinidad and Tobago gave her husband cancer. It gave it to him. That the Solid Waste Management Company Limited does not manage solid waste. that we dump everything into the same dump and ground it into the same mush pile, and that leaches toxins, leads, heavy metals, acids into the groundwater. We just mow the lawn in the savannah to turn that catchment for one of the biggest and oldest aquifers in Trinidad, to turn it into a parking lot, to compress further the soil above that allows for the percolation of rainfall back into the aquifer, because they have about 7 wells in the savannah taking million-year-old water out of the aquifer. But when you compress the soil in the savannah, what you do is you create more water runoff to go downtown and flood Woodbrook and Port of Spain. For people to say, but it wasn't flooding like this 10 years ago. 10 years ago, the savannah wasn't 20% paved. And 10 years ago, the savannah wasn't a massive parking lot for the carnival bullshit show. All of this, Kamala knows and Keith knows, because if they don't know, and one is the leader of the opposition and one is the prime minister, and you keep voting for that shit show, then we are all going to hell in a handbasket. Because nobody in any environmentally conscious country would allow something like the lungs of our city, Queen's Park, Savannah, to become a car park. Nobody, nowhere, no how. And that is why in Scotland they emptied the room when our prime minister spoke, because they're aware, the world is aware that Trinidad is corrupt. The world is aware that the United States of America wrote its most serious anti-corruption law based on an experience, a company and a guy named Sam P. Wallace in Trinidad and Tobago. Their companies now are given special instructions. There's a reason that Trinidad tries not to deal with American companies. And when you look and you see who's building our flyovers and our walkovers and a lot of these joint ventures, it sounds fancy and it sounds foreign, but it's usually a bullshit show. Canada has one of the most corrupt companies on the planet. Their leaders have been jailed. That company doing business with PNM and UNC. The UNC nearly bring them to build all kind of hospital in the country. One of the UNC's appointed high commissioners was their agent in Trinidad. The PNM tried to deal with the same company even though they bust the mark. These companies that are corrupt companies are willing to overcharge countries like ours. They come, they send their lawyers and they go back and they say, yeah, them lawyers shit. The courts is crap. They're not set up for fraud and corruption. You could literally do what the hell you want down there. So once the lawyers get them the pass, then they come down and they say, okay, you want to build a flyover, it's worth $80 million. But we could build it for $500 million. We will keep $150 million. Tell me where you want the rest. But you had to use our workers and you had to buy our material. Tell me where you want the rest. And to the government officials who pocketing the rest, they don't give a shit what happens in Trinidad and Tobago. That's why the bloodbath that we have now is Eric Williams' fault. We're not going to reap Rowley and Kamala's bullshit for a couple decades. But we have Manning and Eric Williams Charan killing one another. Patrick Manning created a gang culture in Trinidad. Patrick Manning employed gang members to walk with him politically. They have enough pictures of that. Patrick Manning was the one who employed known criminal killers. Patrick Manning. And gave contracts. PNM governments, plural, gave contracts to gangs to paint HDC and police station and all kind of shit. The governments that we have had have looted the country and left it in a mess. So you're in danger. you're in danger. And I'll tell you when you're going to be in the most danger. You see, right now, that the government have to lay off TSTT workers and WASA workers and CPEP workers. The reason they're doing that is not that they want to be unpopular, you know. It's because the money running out. Because they set out to destroy the middle class. That had to be on purpose. Because if that is accidental, then you should jail them. Because they destroy the middle class. But the middle class that used to carry the tax burden and those employees are no longer contributing. So you uncover Peter to cover Paul, and Peter have nothing left to give. Paul, on his own, looking to you. That going to get out of hand at some point. That was the tear gas and the water cannon for, but that is them story. And I'm not interested in that. I just don't want it to spill over into where other people live in. And most likely, you're going to hear those things happening. When you see people brazen running a jewelry store on High Street in broad daylight with hammers to smash up the showcases and thief the jewelry and shoot somebody dead who they thought was a guard turned out to be a clerk, kill him dead, broad daylight. The police, all about checking safe zones to make sure that the unvaccinated not giving the vaccinated a virus that the vaccine that the vaccinated took can't protect them from. Here I'm telling you, a bullshit show. They set out for this. They set out, and never to doubt it, tonight's show is about an election tomorrow. There is a progressive empowerment party in this country. If you don't know my name or you don't know that party name, you don't want to. And despite the contract mafia friends of the government who have hidden us away from the media, because there are people who are not on social media, they're very elderly, and they see me and they say, Mr. Phillip, I don't hear about you anymore. I say, well, we're on social media, and if you're not on social media, give me a number and I'll have it sent to you in some format that you could use. And I'm telling people, all of the people who share these videos in all the ways that you share Daniel Jackson and Dave Lux, who cut it up and give people it in bite-size, 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Thank you all very, very much. All of the pages, Alert TT, ETNT, and all of those pages that send them viral, thank all of you very, very much. All of the people who put loudspeakers outside their house and play it for the neighbors to hear. Thank you very much to the taxi drivers who play these live videos. A man tell me, he said, boss, I was going to Napuna. I jump in a car in Sawa. The car reached Arima and I can't come out yet because I want to hear how this video ends. To the taxi drivers that play these videos. To everybody who helps to share the message, thank you. Thank you very much, because the mission, and I said this years now, and forget all the copycats and the copy and paste cats. Hello, good evening. Somebody's dialing my phone and I'm trying to figure out what it's about. Yeah, forget all of those. Through my chain of thought. But ignore that. Our mission always was to inform, educate, empower. That's what the E in Progressive Empowerment Party stands for. We've never stopped. We've never stopped informing, educating, and empowering. Why you think Rowley so vexed all the time? Why you think he is such an insufferable beast to listen to? Because that jackass expected you to be stupid. He said so, that you're dotish and you're stupid, and he said that. But Trinidadians prove him wrong and slap him back repeatedly. And we beat him. We beat him with his furlough vaccine. We beat him. He gonna come and try to vaccinate your children, and we stopping that too. It's not going to be allowed. COVID done. COVID done all over the world. They're going to try and make up shit, but COVID on its way out. My brother told y'all. I told y'all my brother is the most knowledgeable person in this thing. And my brother, every play, my brother said, ignore the rest. My brother was telling you every play that the actual virus was going to play. And you knew it. And people started to say, but wait, boy, this man have a crystal ball. How he know everything this virus gonna do? When they tried to shut the world down for Omicron, and because Africa had the lowest COVID in the world and the lowest vaccines in the world, they had to rush and find a variant, an African variant. And they say Omicron is going to be the most infectious, transmissible, contagious of all. And it was. But it was the least of the apostles. It's killing nobody. The only reason people dying in Trinidad is because our public health is set up like shit. This is what they're doing, people in Trinidad. You get COVID, you test it positive, go home and infect as much people as possible. Infect your neighbors, infect the people in the street. Some of you all we know, we sending you home, and we telling you we're going to call you, but we don't call nobody. And we know you're going to work. We know the companies that, we've heard the companies that somebody tests positive and they go home, and then 2 days later somebody tests positive, they go home. Everybody know, nobody quarantining, nobody shutting down. You get COVID, go home and infect everybody because they need the numbers high. And when you can't breathe, and you're catching your ass because some of you, minus a tiny 0.001% of you, gonna get a bad COVID experience because you all have an underlying condition, or you're obese, or you're very elderly, or all three, and you're gonna get bad. Call an ambulance in this shit show of a country, and the ambulance can reach late, and you're either gonna dead on the way, or you're going to reach the hospital. And we're going to check you to see if you're COVID ripe enough yet. It ripe yet? No, it's not ripe. Stick their ass under a tent. We paid $500,000 a month to rent. Leave them to sit down under a tent, wheezing, and don't check on them. No medical help at all. No medicine. When they send you home, they tell you, wash your hand, wear your mask, wash your foot. But they tell you, take this, take that, add some D3, some vitamin C, how to manage. They just send you home, and they tell you nothing because they know that for the majority of people, 99.97% of the people, that your own body immune system going to kill COVID is the 0.03%. That they want to tell you 10 people dead today. But those 10 people dead today because Terrence the Alsing is a shit on. Would you take your car that need mechanic work to a shoemaker? Would you take your damaged shoe to a banana split maker? Would you go to buy your banana split from a plumber? No, no, no. No, no, no. Would you get on a plane if the pilot blind? No. No, no, no. The answer is always no. Would you hire a pharmaceutical sales rep as your Minister of Health during a pandemic? No. Would you hire 4 OJTs, Parashram, Hines, Trotman, Abdul Richards? Would you give them big titles and put them in charge of shit that they have no experience with and don't understand? No. No, 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 no. The reason we have the highest deaths per million in the world is because of those 5 shitongs. You know how to act, you don't like what I'm saying to you. But just check back and keep asking them. April 4, 2021. April 4, 2021. Just answer us April 4, 2021. Because the Ministry of Health, and I'm updating you now, the Ministry of Health begged for time to put together their stuff. And they have until the 7th, which I think is tomorrow, to answer because they beg for more time. But they play a game, and we saw this coming, that they want to run out the clock on us with our freedom of information, so we had to start over. Our lawyers tell them, no problem. You need more time, stop the clock. If you're not stopping the clock, no more time. And we're going to the judge with that. We're telling the judge, listen, this is the game they want to play. That they're going to try and run out the clock that is they're allowed by statute. And we're telling them, we will give them the extra time, stop the clock. And if they're willing to do that, take the time. And if not, judicial review. Because we're not taking shit no more. So I've kept you in the loop all the way. At some point, we're going to have the information to bury these people with, to prosecute them with. If we could prove that these people were criminally corrupt from the start, with a depraved indifference for human life, those are jailable offenses. That's your government. Up to April 4, 2021, 142 people died. The first 13 months of COVID. 6 months after, 6 months of vaccine, lockdown, state of emergency, curfew, 3,000 dead. You had to be an ass of class to not see what caused that. But the Progressive Empowerment Party is the strongest political vehicle in this country. If you remove the racism of the race vote from the PNM and the UNC, they collapse like a house of cards. It's a couple of them, you know. It's a couple of them operating the PNM. There are more than about 5 or 6 people, you know, that are actually operating the PNM and leveraging it and monetizing it and selling you, the supporters, to the 1% or to the contract mafia or to whoever they need to sell you to. Right now, somebody tell me it looked like Syria and China going to war in Trinidad because businessmen from both communities trying to buy up all of this country's assets, our precious jewels, as this government drives them all into the ground. Imagine you want to sell TSTT. All you have to do is destroy TSTT's credibility. You want to sell Petrotrin? Destroy Petrotrin's credibility. That's what Malcolm Jones did. Malcolm Jones looted Petrotrin for him and his friends. Patrick Manning, a criminal son of a bitch. Franklin Kahn, an ex-criminal son of a bitch. When people tell you that if these people do you wrong, but if they dare, don't speak ill of them. If somebody come and rape your mother and kill your father and then they're dead, you gonna say, may they rest in peace? No. And corruption kills more people in this country than gang violence. Corruption is the greatest killer in this country. And I said tonight earlier on my live, they've trained us to be so selfish that unless it is your mother private parts get washed with lye, hard luck, sis. That's what they did us. Instead of this entire country saying, what the hell you just tell me? How did lye end up in the operating room as part of the procedure? That's not hard to trace. Why does the media stop at half the story? Doc, who is responsible for the, I can't tell you all that right now, an investigation going on, the Regional Health Authority, the police, the DPP, everybody investigating. You're going to know something in 48 hours, not 48 years. Come on. How did the lie end up on the table? That is all we need to know. Because if somebody put a bullet in a gun that's not supposed to have bullets and it kills somebody, it is not the trigger puller that did the killing, but the bullet installer. That person set a trap. Who put the lie in the hospital set a trap. But I said today, every single citizen who have a mother should be outraged. What happened to Miss Akamlam? You're telling me that all you nearly poisoned this woman to death. The woman in pain, she need emergency surgery, she need money for that. They don't have money for that. The state should be tripping over themselves to make sure this woman is treated and properly treated. A woman called me from the States and tell me, Mr. Phillip, I had a surgery in Trinidad. And while they were doing this surgery, they perforate my small intestine and my womb. And that's bad. That's bad. And they correct one and they didn't correct the other. And she got sepsis and she nearly died and they had to do 4 more surgeries. And then she finally just left Trinidad and Tobago. And she wants to sue the state, but she didn't have no money. She was a nurse. She was a nurse. She was a part of the freaking healthcare that did her that. It took her years to recover. She never fully recovered. Our public health in Trinidad and Tobago is a shit show, not for lack of money. We provide $5 billion a year, 4 of which is stolen, to buy big freaking cars and big houses on hills overlooking the bay and liming with people at Christmas time, clinking crystal glasses and pretending you are a successful businessman. You are a successful criminal. And we need a government that could prosecute you for your criminality that destroyed this country. Never to doubt this. You vote me into office plenty of them people run out the house and flag down a taxi to get to the airport with only the clothes on their back. They just want to get out. Because they know what the PNM and the UNC will never do. I will. That's why I am in politics. To get and put your money back. To go after O'Halloran's heirs, who received hundreds of millions of dollars that Eric Williams and Johnny O'Halloran stole from Trinidad and Tobago. You will never hear the UNC talk about a drug report, a commission of inquiry into the drug trade in Trinidad. You'll never hear them say that. But you will hear that they appoint some dubious people to some positions in government. And people in law enforcement want to know, but how could you do that? These people are known to us. How do you think our police fails the way they fail? You think our police don't know who and what? But our system of government, our laws, and our justice system shields and protects the criminals and the corrupt at the highest level of society. That if you have enough money and one person who was integral to the theft of what they believe is over $1 billion under Bastille Pandey said, when you're thieving money, thief legal fees too. Lawyers have to eat. And once you could tie them up in court, motion after motion, 10, 15, 20 years pass. $51 million to the Carenage police station. Drive past and check it. $51 million. Poor people can't get money top up on their food card. $51 million pay for that police station that's not worth $10 million. $51 million was spent. Go and check it. Across the road, ask for the price of the health center that the UNC built. And then what it worth. And again, when you go inside there, doctors tell me, Philip, they have equipment in some of these health centers that the general hospital don't have. That it's so easy that all they have to do is deal with their friends in the medical supply business and buy shit that the average person don't know how to ask. Why do you have this in a health center? This don't belong here. A public health center is not for that. That is for general hospital, large hospitals. And they buy it and they park it up and it rust and it fail and it die. But it came to Trinidad at 10 times the price it would and sold to government at 100 times the price it would. And you don't know. You don't know if that worth $1 million, 10 million, 100 million. You don't know. You don't know, so you can't ask no question. But there are people who do know. And those people who do know, shame. But plenty people in Trinidad and Tobago afraid to talk because government is malicious. A doctor told people in this country, too many people are dying preventable deaths, and it is because of the public health. And they pull the man license, they try to prosecute him, and they run him out of the country for telling the truth. But if the rest of the doctors in Trinidad and Tobago had an ounce of integrity, they will shut it down, and they will all you have to do is down tools. And tell the freaking people that we're down in tools because we can't continue this way. But there are too many people in Trinidad and Tobago willing to become corrupt. Doctors who are willing to go to the Port of Spain General Hospital or to Mount Hope Maternity Hospital or the San Fernando General Hospital or Augustus Long and other hospitals and clock their freaking card and then leave. And go to their private hospital and tell the nurse, call me if anybody looking for me. But it's running a clock that you're there. So you're getting paid for that. They found some that found a way to clock a card in 3 different floors. Gary Griffith on my show told you that there were police officers running an overtime racket in the police service where police were being paid for working 24 hours a day, 30 days a month. That's not possible. You're dead. You'll drop down dead. He stopped that. Keith Rowley want to run him out as commissioner of police and want to make up lie after lie. The freaking Express newspaper. All the shit that's going on in the country, all the Express focus on is being the PNM's journalistic hit squad. Because Gary Griffith exposed the criminal underbelly of the PNM. And that given a chance, people like Gary and myself will undo 59 years of institutionalized corruption and fraud by political bandits in the PNM and the UNC. So that brings us back to this. Because the people of Debe South had to have noticed how Trinidad felt the morning after the PDP routed the PNM in Tobago. Debe South had to notice the hope that this country got, that it was possible to beat one of these corruption kingpins. Debe South, not more diehard to UNC than Tobago was to PNM. In Tobago, the Tobago arm of the PNM is in charge of identifying ways and means to pay people through the THA not to work, so that you're owned by the PNM and your whole job is to vote PNM. That get vote out. So you in Debe South, you have that same power. And I want you all to remember these last words. I want you to imagine, and I'm speaking to the people in Debe South now. I want you to imagine waking up in Trinidad and Tobago on Tuesday, February 8th, where the Progressive Empowerment Party has won that by-election. The surge of hope and promise, not only that community will feel, but the whole country. All of a sudden, councillors in that regional corporation and every regional corporation showing up for work. All of a sudden, people outside in their droves, washing down your street, paving your road, cleaning your drain. All of a sudden, what's supposed to be straight and it bend is straight, then what's supposed to be bend and it's straight, they bend in. All of a sudden, inside the parliament, all of a sudden, they stop talking shit and bacchanal and noise, and all of a sudden, the PNM and the UNC remembers that they're there to govern and to give representation and service to the people. All of a sudden, die-hard communities starting to be treated with respect. All of a sudden, one vote, one victory, one dot on a map could give this country that much hope. The people of Debe South, you hold in your hands the power to change Trinidad and Tobago. Make no mistake. The people that want to shut the country down or stand in protest against the madness that was done to the Police Service Commission or to TSTT or to WASA or to TNTEC or to anything else, that you know the $500 million that was spent on the Red House and then money being funneled to senior counsel, big lawyer firm to silence Phillip Alexander for raising that issue. You in Debe South have the power to prove to people. You see all the shit they used to talk about Trinidad is 9-day wonder. We've held an issue for a year and 2 days, Andrea Barrett. And the PNM sending all their trolls to attack we because we've done that. They want to kill it. They want to kill the messenger, to kill the message. And they can't win. They're falling apart. They're like zombies, they're like vampires. When the sun come out, they turn into dust. Look at what's happening. As slowly but surely, people power starts to right-size this country. People just standing together. When Stephen Matheson came on my show the day they announced the furlough for public servants, and he said they cannot do that, the next day, the first union put out a thing saying, we stand against it. And every other union after that. And the first union was the police service. Everybody after that stood up and said, the same Pharisees that say we're not backing down, back down. Look at Coleman, the property tax. All the shit you want to talk. This is the last. What? It's like the Indian Expo. This is the last extension. Colm, you don't even know what an extension is. This extension here is going to fail too. The people are not helping you tax them so that your government could waste the money. They're not helping you. You're on your own with that. No amount of threats. You threaten the people and they watch you in your face and they ignore you. Debe South, you have an opportunity. Listen, it's a municipality. It's one voice in a council, in a regional corporation. In the grand scheme of things, it's not supposed to count for much. But because it is neither of the corrupt, divisive parties, because it breaks the monopoly of the PNM UNC race vote bullshit, because it creates in the minds of 1.4 million Trinbagonians the possibility that we could shake this political blight off of us, you would have, Debe South, by your vote, you would have rescued this country. UNC don't need an ex-council. UNC don't need an ex-council, man. UNC have enough. And by putting Lorenzo Sami in Debe South, every other councillor that UNC have will start to work, and we will set the pace, and all of them will try to keep up, and they will try to pretend that they always knew that this is what they were supposed to do. And we will make sure that you remember that there was a time before the Progressive Empowerment Party that roti politics is what they were arguing about in the parliament. Who spend more on party for roti? The people of this country are badly served by the PNM and the UNC. The people of this country. And don't let them tell you which is a lesser evil. Voting evil is still evil. There is no lesser Satan. Satan is Satan. As two sides of the same Satan. Make no mistake. Debe South, if you're registered to vote and you wasn't going to vote, go and vote. Do whatever it takes. If you don't have a car and you don't have a transport, but you have some money saved in a pan or a VHS cassette somewhere, stick up in a drawer, you know you have a couple blues inside of there, call a ride share and go down in that polling station. Call me. Message me on 682-2110 and I'll make sure a car come and pick you up and take you to vote. My number, 682-2110. Satish number, 7968172. Felicia number, 7694590. All them numbers. Write it down. If you can't get to the polling station, you can't find your polling station, call we. We have our whole team set up to make sure that you get a vote in the right place and that nobody stand in your way. And do it early. Do it early so you get out the way. Don't wait. Do it early. It is your constitutional right to go out there and vote. Go out there and vote yourself a better country. Go out there and vote yourself water. Go out there and vote yourself flood prevention and irrigation. Go out there and vote proper drainage. Go out there and vote a government that has a social development master plan that leaves none of our people behind. Go out there and vote prestige education for all your children. Go out there and vote a public health system that leaves none of our people suffering and lying down on a piss-soaked mattress or a hard concrete floor. Go out there and vote yourself proper jobs, and a government that understands government's job is to provide jobs. Go out there and vote home ownership. A lot of you are self-sufficient and working to buy your 2 block and your 3 block and build your house slow. Work Vote yourself a government that understands and will find a way to work with that. Vote yourself a government that will come and rescue those who pass through a bullshit education system and come out with no passes and no degrees, and even in your old age, help you become the doctor, the lawyer, the engineer you want it to be. Vote yourself a government that understands home ownership is the underpinning of a safe society. Vote yourself a government that understands that a national maritime security wall will stop the flow of illegals, guns, human trafficking into this country. A right-sized immigration and customs will end the flow of guns and drugs into Trinidad and Tobago. Vote yourself a government that's willing to stop the flow of guns and then remove the guns that are on the street. Vote yourself a government that will reclaim the Pitch Lake from anybody who has their gnarly hands on it, because it belongs to Trinidad and Tobago, and that the pitch from the Pitch Lake will pave our roads. Vote yourself a government that understands how roads are built and will publish it so you'll understand. Vote yourself a government that will get the regional corporation to work with national security and the Ministry of Communication to publish when roads are going to be repaired. WASA, when they come in to fix, they will dig the hole, and then the regional corporation will fix it back to international road building standards, so that the hole that they just fixed don't collapse in on itself. Vote yourself a government that understands simple concepts like that. Vote yourself a government that will come and work with you in your little small business and help you grow it. Why them sheds that selling all them wonderful, and I know this is not in Debe South, but I'm using it as an example because I pull over my motorcade and I walk and I get my baigani and my sahina and my pie. Vote yourself a government that understands that should have expanded beyond everywhere there are KFC. They should have 5 Hassan Ali Green Shed and Sings and the rest of them. Vote yourself a government that understands the value of that will work with the people who make doubles and make that a national street food, because that's what it is. And end the argument. Work with a government that will give doubles manufacturers subsidy on the cost of flour, chana, and oil, so the price of our doubles will still stay low, so that the average person who's still catching their ass could get a breakfast in the morning, and a nutritious one, because chana is the #1 source of protein known to man, and protein is the main nutritious building block you need to grow and repair bodies. Vote yourself a government that understands these things and willing to give the 30,000 farmers that are existing in this country access to land. Vote yourself a government that know everything that we know of house and land and business and street and road and highway is still only 13% of this country, that we've never properly opened and developed Trinidad and Tobago. Vote yourself a government that have as a plan food self-sufficiency, and to get to food self-sufficiency, to make ourselves food self-sufficient in 5 years and a net food exporter in 10. Vote yourself a government that understands that if you're going to get into the pepper spray business, Trinidad's Maruga scorpion pepper should be grown to use, to make pepper mash, to dry, to make pepper spray, and that we should be controlling the pepper spray industry right here in TNT. Vote yourself a government that understands that not every business, not every law, not every advantage should be for the 1% and their friends. Vote yourself a government that wants to be the rising tide that lifts all boats, and that the poverty line should be erased, that there should be nobody left behind. Vote yourself a government that understands those things. And it starts in your little municipality of Debe South. You have the ability to break the chains that have held us all in political bondage. Break the chains that have given the banksters operating as predators in paradise from leeching your savings every month. You vote yourself a government that will pass laws that under no circumstances can a bank balance be depleted because it resting in a bank. Vote yourself that kind of government. Government is about service. The well-being of you and your family is the reason the PNM and the UNC and the president and all of them have a work. You work very hard to pay these public servants to serve you, and they don't. Vote yourself a government that understands that. We've said, and we've been blessed and called to say, to be leaders that serve and servants that lead. There is no political party in this country hungry as we hungry. No political party in this country want to win as badly as we want to win. No political party in this country want to prove how capable they are more than us. None. None. We are not the bullshit artists. We leave that to the rest of them who want to stand up in the parliament and trade jabs, bacchanal and old noise. We are about delivery of government goods and services. services. There is no political party that has better policies than ours. Visit www.21policies.com. And to the people of Debe South, take a chance on me. You have nothing to lose. You've had no representation for a whole year. And Keith Rowell in the PNM couldn't give a shit. They couldn't care that your councillor, may he rest in peace, died a year ago. They could not care that you had no representation. Not a single person came to check on you to make sure that you were okay. Give us a chance. You have nothing to lose and everything in the world to gain. Wake up early and go out tomorrow and vote for the Progressive Empowerment Party. Put your X next to Lorenzo Sami. I am asking you, each and every voter of Debe South, to take a chance on me. It's a year at best, because they had a call local government election. So there's a year at best. And in that year, I'll work magic for you. Take a chance on us. Debe South. Take a chance on Trinidad and Tobago. Until tomorrow, stay safe, everyone.